It's a clear he's a separatist made a pact. He said he's a federation betrayed. Senator Dello Belligan. In response to this direct threat to the Republic, Misha proposed that the Senate give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
Order! We shall have order!
It is with great reluctance that I have agreed to this calling. I love democracy. I love the Republic. The power you give me, I will lay down when this crisis has abated. And as my first act with this new authority,
Hey, I'm Kyle. Thanks for joining me and Andy for the Legendary Creature Podcast. So, if you're listening with your kids or your conservative grandma, maybe don't, because we swear.
Or you can check us out on YouTube, because hey, that's no place for conservative old women or children.
Fuck yeah.
All right, dude. Oh, are we ready?
I'm ready if you are.
Yeah, I mean, let's jump in. It's episode 9 of Ravnica. You know, Ravnica episode 9, The Last Jedi. Wait,
Isn't it number 8?
it's episode 8. Let's start over. Because I completely fucked up our start.
Oh my God,
You know,
Andy.
that's actually what episode 9's gonna be. Is it's got to be a start over for Star Wars. You know, let's not get into that political discussion.
We got to get a new gen going on here.
Yeah, that's too political for us. All right, so a Ravnica Allegiance.
Ravnica
Allegiances.
Do you know how many letters are in Allegiance, Andy?
No, is that
Just so happens to be 10.
why is that significant?
There's 10 guilds.
Oh. Huh. Cool. That's a bit of trivia. Huh?
There's your FF fun fact.
That's a bit of FF trivia. Okay, so let's start at the top of the wheel, man. We got no time to lose. Got no time.
Yeah,
we got no time for these.
Gotta fucking get in there.
Bad jokes. Azorius. Start with Azorius.
Okay, so as with the previous Ravnican set, we've got some of these guilds that have 2 legendary creatures, some of them that have 1 legendary creature and a planeswalker. And so with Azorius, we have a legendary creature and a planeswalker. So we've Lavinia, Azorius Renegade is our legendary creature. It's 1 white, 1 blue, so 2 total converted mana cost for a 2/2 human soldier. Says each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands that player controls. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell.
And she's a 2/2, right?
Yeah, for a 2/2. So it's very, very, very controlling in terms of a commander. Kind of just like I don't have a deep interest in this myself personally, but kind of, I don't know, trying to go through Reddit a little bit. This commander has devolving written all over it to me. Like it's
Really?
going to devolve into stacks, right?
Really?
Don't you think so?
I mean, yeah, I can see how land destruction with white can be a way to put the pedal to the metal with her, being that you leave them with their mana rocks, and her first ability denies non-creature spells to be cast. So if they want to remove the permanents that you're setting into place, they wouldn't be able to?
Sure.
Is that kind of how you're envisioning it?
Sure.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'm seeing is like, yeah, I mean, she is one aspect of locking things down. And if you program your deck to lock down the other things that she's not taking care of, you can start getting yourself there. Yeah, she does kind of invite mass land destruction a little bit because you're then keeping all their non-creature spells controlled.
Yeah.
But even absent that, like if you're doing other stacks package type things,
okay,
it seems to devolve that way. I was seeing some people talking about, like, well, let's go ahead and go the blue combo route where you're getting things like Dream Halls put into your deck. And
yeah, because it doesn't apply to you.
Yeah, because it doesn't apply to you. So you go ahead and cheat around things, and then all of your opponents now, they can't use Dream Halls to skirt around things. So I think there's some interesting things that Lavinia has to her. I think you're probably going to see kind of maybe like a blue-white version of Gadok Teague that sort of manifest here.
Okay.
Where, obviously Gadok Teague is different, but the feeling of it is pretty similar.
Sure.
I mean, to me, I like I said, I don't have a deep interest in this commander myself. Maybe kind of, but
I'll say I don't either. But I would play her before I'd play Grand Arbiter, Augustine the Fourth or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I feel like something about her kind of tells me like going all ham on the denying your opponents the ability to do stuff route isn't really the way to go with her. Like, sure I wouldn't be including, because I think like she's asking for, she's not asking for hate bears. Like she has her own.
Yeah, she is her own. And I think the other aspect of this is the people that I've seen posting deck lists going that route, invariably the question that comes along with that is, okay, now you've made it so everybody else can barely play Magic, but how are you going to win?
True. Yeah.
And I mean, we know that kind of comes with the colors a little bit, if that's what you're doing, if that's the route you're going, trying to control people. But continue with your thought though. Like, is there something that you have in mind?
So let me kind of pedal back a little bit. Like, and this is just an observation. I think this is one of these commanders that is, I think most will try to just amplify her effects. So jamming Arbiter in there, extra taxing kind of things, like things that shove their mana cost past their ability to even cast them using their lands.
Yeah.
The Dream Halls play isn't that
I think
crazy.
Dream Halls is actually a pretty good idea with Lavinia.
Right. In my experience, and this is only my limited experience with Dream Halls, I have never really it's never backfired. I usually cast it when I can take advantage. I don't really just resolve it and go, okay, and pass the turn.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking the amplification of her effects, like locking people's ability to play things out, that whole thing, mass land destruction. I think that is a route you could take. You're not going to make a lot of friends doing that or keep a lot of friends doing that. That's obvious.
It'll have the Brago problem if you go that route. Like that's where you're going.
That's obvious. But what I'd rather do with her if I was having to make an Azorius commander would be, I'm just going to have her ability make the game fair, because I am operating with colors that, Azorius is like a tick above Boros to me. Like it's got blue, it's got the card draw, but like you were saying, there's just not a lot of like win conditions available to Azorius other than like weird flickery abuse and that's what I'd do. So like I wrote for the note for this, I just kind of said all that. Like overall I think there's just something in me saying not to go all ham on her cop team.
Well, I feel you that there too, and I think maybe over time she may demonstrate herself to be a flexible commander, because what she's doing is she's lending herself to that equality a little bit. We're going to make sure that some people don't get out of control. Like I'm thinking of me playing like a big green mana deck and casting a huge Genesis wave with Sachi, where I'm tapping my shamans to get all the mana for it. Well, okay,
she'll stop that.
With Lavinia, that's slowed down. You can't do that.
Yeah, but I'm okay with having that ability always available to me.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is
what I'd rather do is
kind of slows the game down to the pace that you need it to be when you're playing these colors, and then you can be creative. I like what you're saying. Like it doesn't need to be let's cop everybody.
Yeah, like think about making an Azorius deck that has a small engines in it that will outvalue your opponents, while in the meantime just kind of saying, well, if anyone's getting out of reach, I've got ways to slow them down. Again, she doesn't block creatures.
Yeah.
They can cheat in creatures. They can use artifacts and mana reduction or however they're going to do it. It's just that it stops Cascade, it stops Omniscience, it stops Sunbird's Invocation, it stops
something like Atali and things
Narset.
like that.
Like these are some of these commanders, like this is a counterpoint to them. You know, like Narset, Atali, Yidris, like they're going to get jammed by her, but that's good enough. Like outside of her, the only hate bears I'd be including are maybe ones that just block people's ability to play during my turn so they can't disrupt me or things like that. And then, just try to think of whatever engine you want to do inside. And I'm thinking it's going to be Flicker because it's Azorius.
Yeah, it's Azorius.
Some kind of engine that will eventually start letting you pull ahead. Am I making sense? Like what I'm trying to say
I think you're making
here?
a ton of sense.
I mean, you can go the other route, like make it the total lockdown thing that amplify her ask if that's what you're looking to do. I'm not trying to say don't do it. I wouldn't.
It's a question of is your deck in a complementary or supplementary relationship with the commander, right?
Yeah.
Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, complementary or supplementary.
Yeah.
You know, are you going to amplify her ability and then just go nuts with it? But then I'm like wondering, how is that going to work for everybody that you like playing with?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff gets put down over, you know, like people.
If you hate your fucking playgroup, then dude, this is it.
Yeah, take that deck to the shop.
But that's already there. Like we've already got commanders that already allow for that.
Sure.
All right, another Azorius card. Let's stay with the guild, right?
Yeah. So let's hit the Planeswalker.
You want to talk about him? Okay.
Let's do it.
So it turns out Dovin Bond's now on Ravnica. So Dovin Bond, Grand Arbiter. He's 1 a white and a blue for a legendary Planeswalker Dovin. He comes in with 3 loyalty, but you can increase his loyalty by 1. And it says until the end of the turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Dovin Bond, Grand Arbiter. He has a down 1 that says create a colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. You gain 1 life. And then his ultimate is it needs 7 loyalty, but it says look at the top 10 cards of your library, put 3 of them into your hand, and the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order.
So, you know, some of these Planeswalkers aren't that threatening.
Some, yeah, this one is not threatening at all for our format.
Yeah. However, I'm not opposed to seeing people use him in this format.
Really? I wouldn't waste a card slot on this.
You don't think so?
No. If you're gonna put a Planeswalker in your deck, like you're not doing it. Like, why are you putting this in your deck? Like, what loyalty abilities are you something that you want?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right.
So let's say you have a go wide strategy, so you can really get his loyalty just up into whatever, right? You've got like a white weenies deck, which we already know are marginally effective anyway.
Sure.
So he gets maxed out in loyalty almost right away.
Sure.
And I guess I can see combats going where you're never really using his ultimate to lose him, so you keep doing that card draw thing.
And that's what I would anticipate because he gives Thopters. If you're doing something that's
dude, coastal piracy exists. Bite and a
yeah, you're right.
exists.
You're right.
You know?
You're absolutely right. There's much easier ways to get card draw.
And no one can attack my Bite and Thassa.
But
and
what
no
I'm
one can
saying
attack
is
my
I can
coastal
understand.
piracy.
I can understand somebody getting a hold of Dovin Grand Arbiter and putting him in their deck. I get it. Like, it's not like you won't get value from it, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I'm saying this guy. I just wouldn't put him in. I wouldn't use a card slot on this one. Like I'm not. Sorry, I got no charity for this one. I just don't because there's effects that does what he does that we can.
Yeah, I mean there's effects that you can get in isolation where you don't have to jump through hoops to make it happen via this Planeswalker.
Sure,
you're right.
Like
I could just see how it would be possible that you might be able to use that ultimate each turn.
Like, dude, even with the Traxa, like where are you going with him with the Traxa? Like you're probably not going wide there. And then his down one ability, it's like, well, I would just point you to the Thopter Spy Network, which does that too and draws you a card.
You're right. I mean, it's not great. It's not great. I'm just saying I wouldn't fault somebody if it happened to pass through their collection They tried it out.
Yeah, I think they couldn't give Standard another powerful Azorius Planeswalker because it's like Teferi Zone right now. So
yeah,
maybe that's the reasoning of why this one's a little down,
could be
a downplayed or whatever.
But I mean, you have to assume that this card was probably designed before he came out, though.
Sure,
like they didn't know that was going to be the meta game in Standard.
The Dominaria or whatever that Teferi would have taken over.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
But sure,
they can tweak his abilities. Like he could have been his. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like they can tweak things.
I'm actually the thing that intrigued me about Dovin the most is that up ability where you get extra loyalty for creatures doing combat damage. Like that's intriguing to me. But the rest of it's kind of like.
I mean, if his ultimate gave you an emblem that was like a Bident of Thassa emblem, then we might have something to talk about. You know what I mean? That like, okay, you jam creatures and then you flip into like a Bident of Thassa, but then I'm like, I don't know. Why not just skin? Why not just cast one? Like whatever. Emblems are the best.
Emblems are the best planeswalkers.
But yeah, a lot of the times the best ultimates.
Yeah, they really are. They really are.
Because we just start getting a lot out of them as the game goes on. This guy just like, hey, look at a bunch of cards. It's like, dude, I have dig through time to do his ability. You know, like I don't know. Like there's just a myriad of other things I could do just to kind of get his ability, his ultimate.
Yeah, you're
off of another piece of cardboard.
Well, let's talk some other cards in Azorius, and then
let's keep arguing about Delvin. Okay. Did you see emergency powers?
I did see emergency powers.
So it's 5 a white and a blue. It says instant. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards, and then you exile emergency powers. So it's kind of like I think there's a bunch of effects like that.
I was gonna say you're the wheel specialist.
It's like time spiral. Like you have to just exile it. Like that's kind of the thing is the exile. But his addendum or the addendum for this card, which is the Azorius keyword, right? Mm-hmm. It says if you cast this spell during your main phase, you may put a permanent card with converted mana costs are 7 or less from your hand into the battlefield.
I think it's pretty fucking dope. I would use this,
dude. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna bring up Star Wars again. It's just because. So if you go to Mythic Spoiler, right? The top comment is this guy, a guy named Will Wassman.
This is the Senate vote,
and he's like, Misa proposed that that the Senate give immediately emergency power to the Supreme Chancellor.
That's funny.
That's the moment you can blame the Empire on Jar Jar Binks. Because he's the one that like kind of brings the vote out to the Senate that they give quote emergency powers to the Chancellor, pretty much making him functionally an emperor, right?
Right.
That's just fucking funny.
That is really funny.
But anyway, the card itself, I actually like it a lot.
Well, so here's one of the things to me is that when you're casting such big spells like this, there's always a problem of the asymmetry of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it also, are those bolus horns in there, by the way, in that card art?
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
It totally looks like that. Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, but you're usually the last person to benefit from doing something like this, right? Unless your deck is built around it like a Niv Mizzet or whatever. You're usually the last person to benefit from it. But with the addendum, you're able to be the person ahead of it because you're casting, you get to put a permanent card out from your hand, which is dope.
Yeah, I don't know if this thing needed to be a mythic. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about it now that I'm looking at it. Like it's just 7 mana. Like
that's why I'm saying with such a mana commitment, there needs to be that addendum part of it where you're the one that gets ahead of it. Hopefully you draw something that's a big deal to your hand that you can put out.
So they have like it's in white and blue too. Like hang on, I'm because you're right. Like I play a lot of will spells. Like I think I'd be more behind this card. Like we could get on this card's train if it was less mana, of course, but then of course that addendum, the permanent ceiling would have to come down too.
Yeah.
But then because I'm thinking like with wheel spells, after you wheel, you want to be able to play the cards out of your hand. Like cool, if you fall into a big permanent or whatever, you can just dump it with the addendum cost.
Sure.
So it kind of cancels itself out, but it's still 7 up front. Like it's going to be like your whole turn almost. Like I think no matter what, you're picking one card you like. That's the thing you play. That's 7 mana, and then you just ditch your whole hand.
Yeah.
You know, like that's how it's looking. Like if it was like 5 mana and the mana ceiling was like 4. Yeah. Because it has white. Like it's not going to be then I don't know. Then again, there's like Narset, but I don't know if I don't know. I'm trying to evaluate this card. This one's hard.
Yeah.
To evaluate for me, because I can see instances where, yeah, it could be a big push up. And I really like that. Like I like the addendum part. Like I like Rishkar's expertise. And there's actually another card they spoiled in this set that is way fucking dope that has something similar going on with it.
Sure.
But then I'm thinking about the 7 mana ceiling. Like it's just
a place that I can see if we contextualize this in Commander over the last year.
Yeah.
I think this actually fits in super well with Yennet or Amanatu. Where with Amanatu you can put, like, if you've got something in your hand, like you can, because the problem with that addendum is you may not have something that shows up in your hand. With Amanatu, you can kind of plan that out, right? Like you put something on top of the library that you want emergency powers to free cast for you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Yennet could potentially just cast this for you earlier than you would or you may get a free cast.
I hope I'm understanding this right, but this is saying if you cast this spell during your main phase, you may put a permanent card with converted mana.
You're right. With Yennet, it wouldn't work. You're right.
But no, hang on. Like it doesn't let you see the new stuff, right?
I'm not sure.
Like what goes off first?
Maybe that's something we need to. Is it something that's in your hand currently?
Cast this spell, or does that happen? Like, does that happen then the addendum? You know, I'm thinking it happens then the addendum.
Yeah, the addendum is a new paragraph.
Yeah,
right?
it's a new paragraph. So I think it's okay. You get a new hand, and you tuck your graveyard back into play too. So some wheeling decks like enjoy that because it's starting to get kind of full. You know, if the whole deck is set up for wheels, but it's Azorius.
Yeah, talking through that again, I'm like, actually, that doesn't work with Amanatu.
So it's a little weird,
it doesn't
right?
Work,
like this card's
doesn't
a
work
little
that way. Because I'm like, I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, this should go with those, but yeah, like, talking through it, I'm like, wait a second, no.
Yeah, I'm having trouble evaluating this one. I could be wrong though. I mean, I don't know. Like somebody somewhere.
Let's be honest. Like the big obvious benefit of this though is when like our meta's a graveyard heavy meta.
Sure.
Like, if I'm playing in these colors, I'm putting this in my deck because I want to be able to push everybody's graveyards back into their library.
So we'll just vote to say like this one's one that we'll probably test them out to see.
Yeah.
You know, maybe hell no, I might come back and be like, this actually was pretty cool. Like when you have it, you're never unhappy to see it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's some cases. All right, we'll give me another Azorius card.
Let's see. So I actually had a question for you. The precognitive perception, because I know that you and your card draw spells, you like to have them at instant speed. But this one's 5 mana for 3 cards. It also has addendum on it.
Yeah.
So if you cast this during your main phase, instead you scry 3, then you draw 3. Where does this fall in your rating of card draw spells, Andy?
Dig Through Time just slams this one to pieces.
Yeah.
Like Dig Through Time can be delved to reduce its cost. You can do it at instant speed. You look at the top 7, you take 2 and put them into your hand.
So you get card selection there.
Yeah, this one's you get 3, but
and
then
you could potentially scry 3 and then draw 3. Like
but this one's addendum is that it's instead you just slap a scry 3 on top of it.
Yeah.
So for 5 mana on your turn, like you have to do it on your turn. For 5 mana, it's a scry 3, draw 3.
Yeah.
Like opportunity just is instant speed. You can draw 4 with opportunity at instant speed. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Like
okay. I was looking at that and I was like, I wonder if this is one that's going to tempt Commander players. And you've talked through this in past episodes, pretty like kind of the hierarchy of card draw instants and sorceries.
I think because other things exist at that, like even clunky draw spells like Opportunity or Jace's Ingenuity, like these are pretty fact or fiction.
Yeah, I mean,
gets you access to more of these cards. I think I would be, and I hate to keep doing this, I think I would like it more if it was, and this is going to sound crazy, but again, think about Dig Through Time, right?
Yeah.
And this is a rare, just so you know.
Yeah, it is a rare.
So if it said scry 6, draw 3, if it was on your turn, because you're eating for a blue player. 5 mana is a lot.
That's huge
to push down.
It's huge.
So if it was scry 6, draw 3, because that way I can plan the next 3 after my draw.
Right.
So it's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be a big deal.
Then I'd probably be
I wonder what the biggest scry is.
Because yeah, it has to be during your turn. It's not even that addendum is basically sorcery speed.
Yeah, it is.
Well, not sorcery speed.
It is.
It just had to happen in in your main phase.
Main phase. It is sorcery speed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say that one's a little too clunky for me.
Okay.
But high alert.
High alert, dude.
So high alert is 1, a white, and a blue. For an enchantment that says each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Creatures you control can attack as though they didn't have defender, so that's important. You can pay 2 a white and a blue to untap target creature. How do you feel about this one, my dude?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a backup to Arcades, right?
Yeah.
Like anybody that's playing Arcades and
that
hype train was pretty big.
Yeah.
You need to get this card.
Yeah, a lot of our ways of dealing with Arcades was just killing him. Right?
Yeah, you just get rid of the commander.
It shuts down his aggro potential. Like when he's moving to make a big attack, you just get rid of Arcades. Assault formation exists, but if you remember assault formation, you had to pay green to wipe the defender clause off of your, not defender clause, but give them the ability
so that they
to
could attack. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if this would replace assault formation.
No.
Or would this be additive to assault formation?
So having been a Doran player, and to be clear, my Doran build when I had that deck was not a defender deck. It was just a fat bottoms deck. But I wanted alternatives to Doran for getting the ability to attack with the fat bottom. Same with high alert, like and Arcades, the relationship is the same. You don't want to replace cards that give you that ability. Like you just it's a format layer. It's a deck that's so dependent on its commander that the more cards you have that can kind of replace a commander and give you security, it's an insurance card. I'm going to take out lots of insurance policies on people that I think are prone to dying.
Yeah, and it lets you untap a creature for that defender, because they usually have big asses.
They're big.
So yeah, I'm good with it. I'm trying to decide like if it's something like if I was an Arcades player, like would I be looking to just replace assault formation or add? Because that means I have to remove something else, and that deck is already pretty tight.
Yeah,
you'd put it on top of assault formation, so you'd have both. So you have 3 different.
Yes.
3. That's a good number because one's in your zone.
You're going to
draw 1.
There's 2 others in your 99.
Yeah. All right. All right. I agree.
Okay.
Give me another card.
Let's see. Deputy of Detention, I think, is one that I was kind of looking at. It's just let's deal with tokens.
Yeah, so it's like the detention sphere strapped to a body. So it's 1, a white, and a blue for a Vidalcan wizard. So it's a wizard.
Yeah.
When Deputy of Detention enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls and all other non-land permanents that player controls. Oof.
With the same name.
Yeah,
if it were, it's too bad it has that player thing because you could just let's go take everybody's soul ring.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
But. Yeah, and then the last part is that the same name as that permanent until Deputy of Detention leaves the battlefield. It's a 1/3. So a couple things holding this back. Yeah, it's not exactly Detention Sphere, right? Because doesn't Detention Sphere nail everything that has the same name? So when Detention Sphere enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-land permanent. Yeah, not named Detention Sphere, and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. And then, until it leaves play, it comes back. So it's like a super O-ring.
Yeah, I mean, Detention Sphere has the same CMC. It's a permanent type that's less prone to removal. It doesn't have that restriction of being just a single that player.
Yeah, so if I nab your soul ring, I'm going to hit everyone else's too. Mine included, if mine's out. I think what really, really sets this guy back, though, is that he can't even target your own stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't be
so you can't do like a Felidar.
Like set up a loop.
Yeah.
Like set up some kind of loops. Like,
I mean, Detention Sphere has that same thing, right? It specifically says itself can't be done, but like
yeah, it can't target itself.
So I don't know. If you need that ability again,
I don't need it to target itself. I just need it to target another creature I control.
Right.
And then let's say that creature has some way to flip this so that I get some kind of. I mean, you're the guy that's all about parallax wave, and is that the one?
Yeah, parallax wave and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, like so if this could target another permanent of yours, would this be of consideration into your parallax wave combo stuff?
Oh yeah, but by the same token, I think that this is probably going to give people that are playing Rune some consideration. But specifically because it's a creature. Like you're probably not going to put it in Brago, because Brago can run the detention sphere and reset it when it needs to.
Reset it whenever, yeah.
But this probably has a place in some place like Rune where you only have access to blinking creatures.
Okay.
So it has limitations, but it probably has some consideration in the format. I would think.
Any other Azorius cards of interest?
So I think it's worth looking at the cycle of at least the rare cycle of the split cards.
This one though, some of them, yeah, but
some of them, yeah. Like I think this one's subpar.
Okay,
but let's just put it out there. So it's Warrant and Warden. So Warrant, I think all of them have their cost. The first part is 2 hybrid. If I recall. So that part is put target attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library. That could be nice. And then the other part is 5 mana for create a 4/4 white and blue Sphinx creature with vigilance and flying. Meh.
Yeah, super meh. Super meh.
It may also be worth mentioning that there's Unbreakable Formation, which is just another card that another instant you can use to save your board state.
Yeah.
Creatures you control gain indestructible.
But then there's also United Stand, which is 2 and a white instant. Creatures you control gain indestructible to end of turn. But it has an addendum that if you cast this spell during your main phase, you can put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. So this is a Boros card, really.
We're looking at the same card, but it has a different name.
What does yours say?
I said Unbreakable Formation.
Mine has United Stand.
It must be from a foreign language card.
Yeah, it is. It's in Japanese, it looks like, or Chinese. I don't know. It's kind of blurry. But yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same card.
Wait, what's the second one that's strapped to the double? I thought we were talking about the double.
Oh,
card.
no. That was Warden. That's the
Oh yeah,
the
that's
token.
the one that just makes the Sphinx. Okay,
yeah.
you were going through.
I just moved on. I was like, that's what that card is, but there's also Unbreakable Formation.
Okay.
Or whatever you said, United
Wait, there's
Stand.
3 cards strapped to one? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm done with the Azorius.
Let's move on.
I don't really see anything left in this pile that's of value. All right, dude, hit us off with Orzhov, man.
Okay,
that's what you've been
Orzhov.
hot about.
I am actually pretty hot about Orzhov.
Yeah.
So again, this is another one where we've got a legendary creature and a planeswalker split in this guild. Let me just lead off with the legendary creature.
Yeah, man.
So Teysa Karlov, 2 white black for a 2/4 human advisor. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. There's a lot to unpack here, I think, in my mind.
Yeah.
Before we get into the card, though, I think it's worth mentioning that I feel like with this third trip to Ravnica,
okay,
there's been something funky going on in terms of the design to me.
What do you mean?
So Tristani from the last set, there was a rules change that kind of was a preview to that, but then the rules change actually didn't make her that good of a card. Etrata was kind of like a hard card to understand conceptually. And I think as I've been kind of like reading some stuff about her, I'm like, I think when we did our deck tech about her, I think we even had kind of a misunderstanding on how she functions. And then Teysa Karlov has kind of created some arguments I've noticed on the web because of how creatures are treated with her as a clause, right?
Okay.
So she says if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So the question for a lot of people becomes, so if the creature that is dying, is that a permanent, or is that now just a card going to your yard? Now, the hint that everybody's taking is the afterlife mechanic seems to hint that
because that's her guild's thing.
Right. Her guild's thing is that the rules change, or rules clarifications that are probably forthcoming will suggest that creatures are permanent.
Wouldn't a creature that says when this creature dies, like
you're right,
have its own, like it is a permanent, a trigger.
You're right.
So I think that's not.
So what's
interesting is that it's creature. It doesn't even mean creatures you control.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
Things like the Blood Artist is a permanent, and it sees the creature die.
Yeah. So if somebody else has a creature die, or if somebody else has a Blood Artist, I guess. Right?
Yeah, her reach is just. She's got some reach on her for sure. Yeah, I think she's the Necro Panharmonicon.
There's actually somebody that did a primer specifically calling their deck that the
Necro Panharmonicon.
Yes,
or the Necronomicon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So there's a lot going on here, and I kind of want to.
If she cares about afterlife so much, in that her tokens have vigilance and lifelink.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very interesting. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here in terms of where you can go with her. I think she has, like, the OG Teysa is easier to combo with, but you're still going to have those kind of like, that like aristocrat like loops that you can sort of do. Obviously, you're probably going to be able to do, I don't know, like there's just I don't know. There's just a ton of things like Grave Pact demands, Skull Clamp. You can have your token generators like Requiem Angel, the Worm Coil Engine, things like that they're just gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I'm just
with
using
her in
like
play.
Scryfall right now, and there's like Ashes of the Abhorrent.
Yes.
Whenever a creature dies, you gain 1 life. And players can't cast spells from graveyards or activate abilities from graveyards.
Yeah, that one's a crazy enchant.
Whenever a Johnny's Last Stand, whenever a creature or a planeswalker you control dies, you may sacrifice a Johnny's Last Stand. If you do, create a 4/4 white avatar creature token with flying. Whenever a spell or an ability opponent controls causes you to discard a card. So you just get 2. Like these are just.
And think about how crazy this can get with like Athreos, where people are going to have a hard time denying you stuff because that's a lot of life they're going to lose for some death. Kokosho is going to get. I mean, Kokosho already hurts a lot.
Yeah, they banned him and brought him back actually.
And this is just this. It's an absolute must in this deck.
Grave Pact.
Yeah, Grave Pact. I did mention that one, but Grave Pact and things like that. There's going to be there's a lot of things for token generation, like I say, that you can kind of make work around this quite a bit. And so Black Market is going to get out of control with it,
yeah.
Like the thing that I like about Teysa Karlov here is I think there's enough value that will come from those triggers that you don't necessarily have to go an infinite combo route with this Teysa. Obviously, because you're in the colors, like those infinite combos that are available in most Orzhov decks, you can
keep them
in if you want to. But I think there's just so much value available from Teysa here that you can just build a deck that's a little powered down. You and I were talking yesterday a little bit about, Teysa Karlov versus Krav and Regna. Because she does generate a lot of value, like you mentioned, like 2 Grave Pact triggers for 1 creature dying. But
it sounded like you're still in the Krav camp.
Here's the only reason that I think, like, because Krav just card draw strapped on your commander.
Yeah, the way you made it sound was that you're still on Krav and Regna.
Yeah. Because I think like obviously you can get cards in Orzhov. You've got black available to you, and you're doing things that will allow you to. You can put a lot because you're going to be gaining life with this deck.
Mm-hmm.
You can put a lot into things like greed and necropotence, and not have to even think about it.
Sure.
So that's available to you, but I think having it available on your commander like you do with Krav, who, Krav is just a turn after. And by the way, Regna and Krav should probably be in Teysa's deck or vice versa.
Yeah, sure.
So,
I mean, my devil's advocate for this, right? Again, like for her over Krav and Regna is that I believe there is if not now, but approaching a critical mass of spells that do what Krav does.
Yeah.
And Krav is included in that. So it's
you're right.
You have the Grimhar specs.
Oh, yeah.
This new one that came in the same set, the dude that's sitting on the horse, and it says anytime a non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card.
Yeah.
The Harvester of Souls.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I think, and yeah, like I was saying, like, Grav. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can put them both in the deck.
I mean, that's just, I don't think we've ever done this before where we were like directly looking at, I think it's just because they came out in the same, but they've come out in the same.
They're within a year of each other.
Within a year of each other, right.
And it's in a color typing where there aren't a ton of options to you in terms of commanders.
Yeah.
The
only thing I worry about her is that will there ever be one as good as her from now on?
Oof.
Like I was saying that to you earlier, like she's so on point, and this is just stupid fucking criticism. I should just stop talking, but like I'm just wondering, like, what is the next Orzhov legend going to look like compared to this chick? Like she's just so brilliant as a card.
I think this is one. If I were to guess, this is going to be one
they're going to have to take in a different direction.
This is one that Wizards of the Coast is going to be paying attention to, because why everybody that is excited about Teysa Karlov is excited because this is something that we've never seen, a death trigger
doubler.
Yeah. Like that's not something that's ever existed in Magic the Gathering. And so it's very interesting. And I think Wizards of the Coast is probably going to be paying attention to how this pans out.
Yeah, she's dope. She's way dope.
She's pretty cool.
You know who's not dope? Kaya Orzhov Usurper.
Yeah.
1 a white and a black for a legendary planeswalker. Is it Kaya or Kaya? I don't see.
I don't know.
Anyway, you can exile up to 2 target creature cards from a single graveyard. You can gain 2 life if at least one of those creature cards exiled with this way was, or so if one of the cards exiled this way was a creature. And then it's her down one is exile target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less. And then her ultimate is Kaya Orzhov Usurper deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards that player owns in exile, and you gain that much life.
Her middle ability is useless.
Yep. Her ultimate doesn't scale in Commander. It doesn't hit all your opponents.
No.
Even if it was the target and then all opponents. So let's say I'm like working on your graveyard, because I think that's kind of like the line of play here, right? Like work on your graveyard, get a lot of creatures into exile, and then I get to her ultimate, and then you and my opponents lose that. But that might be too much for her, because then everyone's going to be like, oh, we'll get them off the ultimate. We're going to lose, 5 life?
Yeah.
Like, what are you really going to lose from this?
And it's cards, right? Cards that player owns in exile. So you Bajuka Bog somebody, you could kill them with Kaya's ultimate.
Oh, yeah. It's not the ones that she exiled.
Yeah. So
anything that's in exile.
So her ultimate, you could actually, I think you can actually kill people with her ultimate, but her 2 other abilities are next to useless to you. Like you're not going to put this in your deck if she's the only thing putting things into exile, because the ultimate's useless, because you're just not going to get that much into exile with her. But
yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling her.
But you and I think we're really big on, like, you don't want to bank on a planeswalker's ultimate. It's
right.
Just,
so it's really
just so hard to achieve.
Yeah. Her middle only grabs soul rings, but
I've heard people saying, like, even if it was 2 or less, I think the professor was saying that,
but even if it was 2 or less, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Like you could at least hit some rocks besides the soul ring.
I don't know. The last block, or not block, but the last set had a lot of graveyard stuff. Like it seemed like almost every guild in the last set liked graveyards. Like the Izzet liked graveyards with their, what the hell was it called? It wasn't Retrace, but it was their,
their mechanic.
Yeah, their mechanic to play stuff out of the yard. The Golgari had the undergrowth thing. Demir. Yeah,
I mean, it's surveilling,
but whatever.
But Lazav himself directly wanted stuff in the yard.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he was benefiting from all the surveil. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's what this is supposed to handle. I was wondering, like, is graveyards run wild right now in standard?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, like if this came out when you and I were playing, I'd be like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like, I'd be annoyed at this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were trying to do your what was your flashback one?
You know, that was like fuck, almost 10 years ago. You know,
yeah, it's been a long time ago.
Anybody else? Anyone else from Orzhov would like to stand up and be a good card for EDH? Anyone?
There are some interesting cards in Orzhov, but
okay, what about that split card you were telling me about earlier?
Yeah, this split one's actually pretty dope.
Hit me with it.
See if I can find it.
Is it consecrate and consume?
There it is. Consecrate and consume.
I don't think it is.
No, that's the uncommon one.
That one's okay. So sorry, since we just talked about it, consecrate and consume is a white and a one or white black hybrid. You can exile a target card from a graveyard and draw a card. So it's a bit of graveyard hate. Or you can pay 4 and it says target player sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. You gain life equal to its power. I was actually thinking about this with my Marquesa list because of its flexibility. So I already use Crackling Doom.
Yeah.
But Crackling Doom hits everybody.
Sure.
And then it deals 2 damage to everybody. But then again, I don't have a way to like exile a card from a graveyard, which I don't know. Lately, Lazav's been bugging me, man. Like, I really want to get rid of like that one piece of infect, and then I'm okay.
Yeah, you're like, I can actually survive.
So I'm not gonna say it's universally a good card. I've just been,
but it might have some niche interest for you.
Yeah.
So the other split card, the rare one in the cycle, is Revival and Revenge. So the Revival side is the 2 hybrid Orzhov mana. Return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Dope. 2 mana to do that. Sign me up. I'm into it. Revenge is 6 mana, so it's 4, a white and a black. Double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life rounded up.
You'd be all over that.
I'm pretty fucking into that. And since you're playing an Orzhov like
with Wind Reflection, you would jib them.
Oh yeah, they're dead because it's rounded up in this case. So they are dead for sure. For fucking sure.
Or that demon, the new demon. That's pretty sick.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's a cool split card. We got a new Wrath spell. Kaya's Wrath is white, black. Destroy all creatures. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you controlled that were destroyed this way. I don't know, man. Fumigate exists. I mean, yeah, it's less mana, but this one is vastly more intensive. Like,
yeah, it requires 2 white, 2 black. Like, you're right. Fumigate. It is. It's good.
Maybe if it had like the block of regen clause on it or something, or I don't know. I don't know how to improve this one, but it's pretty vanilla, even though it's trying not to be.
Yeah,
trying really hard not to be. Any other Orzhov cards? Any?
So is the let me look at this. So this one I was kind of interested in. If you're doing hate bears a little bit, is the Tithe Taker. Just 1 and a white during your turn. Spells your opponent's control cost 1 more. And abilities your opponents activate cost 1 more to activate unless they're mana abilities.
Jams up activated abilities.
2 mana to jam up activated abilities and make spells cost more.
He's 1 toughness, which means you can skull clamp them away when you draw your Grand Arbiter or your Grand Abolisher. Because it's like having both is not even.
Yeah,
no
you don't
point.
need to. Like, let's just.
I guess you're really. I don't know. Like, they can't activate abilities at all, and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then he'll give you a spirit on the way out. So he's just kind of like the guy they fire to bring the Grand Abolisher in.
Yeah.
You know, like we're going with a new president here. What about this enchantment? I was going to ask you about this one, the Ethereal Absolution.
So I'm intrigued by this one. I actually don't know yet. So it's 4, a white and a black for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1, and it has an activated ability of paying 2, a white and a black. Exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. If it was a creature card, you create a 1/1 black and white spirit creature token with flying. In terms of token creation as an activated ability, That's pretty par for what Wizards of the Coast provides usually in white.
Yeah.
Think Oketra, think Heliod. That's pretty par for the course to get that. I'm just not sure if I'm in love with the CMC for it. You know, like it seems like a lot of mana to get this enchantment set up. I like having that mana sink available to you because trying to play at instant speed as much as possible is something I think all commander players should try to strive to do.
Yeah.
And then the anthem and anti-anthem, I guess, is nice. I'm having trouble with
anthem.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if I like it being 6 mana. I'd probably try this card.
You try it.
Yeah.
So we'll put this in the same bin with the wheel effect.
Yeah, like the things like Night of Soul's Betrayal and things like that are.
See, because I like Night of Soul's Betrayal.
They have a lot of value.
It like fucks with people.
They have a lot of value,
especially like in Gonti, where it's like he's Death Touch anyway. Like I don't really need him to be increased in power.
Yeah,
and I really, really, like you said, like I really want to mess with the calculus of people's plays.
Oh yeah,
this does that. I think I'm behind you with the mana cost. Really, if they took the anthem off, reduce the mana to maybe like
3,
maybe 4. Let's say 4. Okay. Right. So you can repay the cost, exile a card or something.
Yeah.
So the anthem's gone. The antithum is really this thing I'm interested in. But that's just me lately. Like maybe that's what I am. Like yeah, mana dorks are shut down.
Considering like
but by turn 6, it's like the mana dorks have done their work anyway.
Exactly. Mana dorks are shut down, so you're really only dealing with I don't know, your rat colony and other token decks. Is maybe what you're dealing with.
Right, but this is meta. We're talking meta here. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I wonder how many rat colony decks are running around right now.
I'm just throwing that out there jokingly.
Anything else? I don't know, man. I think we're...
That's
other than the new Mortify art.
There is a new Mortify art, huh?
Dude, isn't it dope, though? That shit is...
That is actually
awesome
pretty cool.
looking.
That is actually pretty
She's
cool.
getting just erased. Like, I don't know. That one's sick. And then, yeah, like... Godless Shrine. And then I don't know. What really stuck out to me with the guild basics that they're doing from the kits.
Oh, the kits.
There's just something about the Warzov ones. Like it fits really well around the emblem, their sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look good to me. They look good to me.
I will say, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is going to take us like 5 hours.
We're literally
to get
talking
through this.
about basic lands now. We got to move on.
But it is interesting to see in these like returned to type sets, the cards that are designed to kind of hail back to other cards, like the Pitiless Pontiff, that is just sort of it's kind of like your Cartel Aristocrat redone a little bit.
Yeah, but it has a pay activate.
Yeah, it has a pay activate.
I mean, whatever. If you're really desperate for a sacrifice, I mean, hey, with the new Teysa coming down, like you might want it. You might want it. All right, so let's go to Rakdos, man. Let's go to let's get to the carnival. We've got tickets, and this time it hasn't been canceled. Remember when we were in Cambodia and we spent that entire day like fucking...
Oh yeah, I like took you
God, you were hyped. And I'm like, I've never been to a circus before. You're like, it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. It was like a school for them. Right?
Yeah, so it's basically like an orphanage that they have a circus training as their centerpiece.
What is up with them and orphans in that country? Remember our driver talking about that. He's like, you want to go down to the lake and hang out with the orphans? I'm like... First off, I'm a late at the time.
You don't ever want to put adult white men around children. Yeah, it's just unsavory.
It's already suspicious enough that I'm a late 20-something American white guy traveling to Southeast Asia. Like I don't know what he thought. Like when he said that, we're like, no, we just want to get something to eat. All right, Rakdos the showstopper. Rakdos the joke stopper. Rakdos the Showstopper is 4 a blue and a red for a legendary creature demon.
Blue and a red?
Yeah, dude. Flying black trample. When the Rakdos the Showstopper enters the battlefield, coin for each creature that is an imp and destroy each creature on the coin ends up tails.
You can't even take this shit seriously.
Because he's not good, man. Like, I don't even want to fucking read it, dude. He's so disappointing, dude. This one, like...
Rakdos needs to get some Cialis or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's fucking struggling.
Some Cialis to fucking counterbalance that Lexapro he's taking. I don't know, man. He's really. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, the last Rakdos is really good. Like he's his own thing. Like,
yeah, he's fucking great.
Deal damage, reduce costs.
And you don't want to make that like anything beyond that is broken. Like you can't creep.
Yeah,
that
so
Rakdos,
this seems
right?
like kind of like the swap for Niv Mizzet, right? Because the middle Niv Mizzet, Draco Genius, was like, yeah, okay, I like him, but he's kind of the weaker Niv Mizzet compared to the other two.
Sure.
So they just bump him the fuck up with the last one. Like Perun is like, okay, here we go. Like
let's do it,
let's
dude.
just take the chains off. And then I was kind of expecting the same thing to happen with Rakdos, because in the lore, I think he is a Perun. So I thought we were going to get Rakdos Perun.
Right.
Like let's just fucking put it all the way down. And instead what we got was like geriatric demon.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's like a lifetime of ho-hos and ding-dongs has done him in.
Sure. So I think...
Or however many lifetimes this demon's had.
I think what really makes me hesitate about this is a couple things. One, he's not a 7/6. Like, we don't even get him on the clock.
Yeah.
That just, I don't know. That's always bugged me about big swingy commanders. Like, just make him a 7/6.
Well, especially someone that's like this is just steeped in glory, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like,
He's a
give me 7,
he's
dude.
fucking Rakdos, my dude. And then the other one is that there's not a lot of demons and devils and imps that you want to be playing alongside him.
Right.
Like, sure, there's plenty of powerful demons, but they are their own card and they're their own thing. Like, a lot of the time you're spending your time reducing the cost of these demons.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole archetype with Athreos and the Ash, what are they called? The Shadowborn Apostles. To cheat them in because they're fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Even in EDH terms, they're expensive.
Yeah, you're right.
So when he comes down, it's like, cool. So these are accepted from his 50-50 chance of them getting wiped out. So you're going to go around and find Torch Fiend and
oh yeah.
I don't even know. I'm thinking like Charmbreaker Devils. Those guys only care about instant sorceries. Like, what devils are you wanting to preserve on the board? What demons? And then the imps. It's like, I don't know, Stinkweed Imp. That's a graveyard thing. Like he's in a whole other deck. So, but this isn't going to stop people from building them.
No, I mean he's a guy that has a lot of like lore and I don't know, just fondness around him. So people are going to try to do something around him.
I really like his flavor text though.
What's it say?
Just says entertain me. Yeah, I don't know. I like that one. It's cool.
That's very Rakdos. I'm gonna read off the other one, but I want you to walk me through it.
Okay.
So Judith, the Scourge Diva. 1 black-red. It's a 2/2 human shaman. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith, the Scourge Diva, deals 1 damage to any target. She's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah. She's been itching my brain since they spoiled her. Like, I think, like, we have an episode coming up where we're going to start doing the guild cycle, or at least this side of the guild wheel that we missed for our last one, like to finish our series.
Finish the series.
I think I'm going to take on Judith. Spoiler alert, I just think, like, if you don't want to wait for the episode, I think it's going to have to go the way of infinite.
Well, I think so too. Like a Grave Titan Ashnod's Altar, she becomes a combo piece with that type of along with the Death Mantle or whatever.
The Nim Death Mantle, yeah. So like along those lines, I don't. What I was thinking was like, there's not a way. Well, it's not like it doesn't exist, but there's only 2 ways to scale her damage to our format's design, to our format's needs, right? So our format needs bigger damage plays.
Yeah.
The ping that she does, that 1 damage, it can be scaled against creatures very easily with Death Touch. With
Death Touch.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And then it also can be scaled a little easier for players with Infect.
Yeah.
But she doesn't hit all players. I think there's just a couple pieces in her language that kind of bug me. Obviously, the big one is that the fact that she doesn't trigger off of tokens. Like
the non-token thing.
She wants non-token.
Kind of limits you.
Right. But the one that kind of bothers me the most is that she doesn't deal 1 damage to all players or target creature. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Sure.
Where the other option was all players, or not all players, all opponents.
Yeah.
But then the other option was any like a target creature.
Mm-hmm.
so it's, yeah, she only wants to target one thing at a time, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
she has a little bit of a Rakdos flavor feel.
Yeah, I mean, with Slimefoot being out, like, Slimefoot hits every opponent.
Yeah.
And he will actually trigger off of tokens.
Yeah.
You know, like, specifically the Saprolings, like, is
yeah,
what
that
he's
is kind of interesting.
do.
Like,
so
like some of the design has like a hand tied behind its back.
But then again, I have to you have to kind of remind yourself, like, well, there is this afterlife mechanic that's going to be in the same box as her. So maybe the tokens it's creating, they didn't want people just setting up a chain where she just dumps on them turn after turn, because she's pretty good in at least by my weak way of evaluating her for other formats.
Well,
you know,
I mean,
gives a +1 to your creatures.
She's out early enough. She's out on turn 3. Like,
and I was even thinking, like, well, I don't know, that'd be pretty cool. Like, if you did like a hidden commander with Sheree, but then she's got that weird anthem, the +1/+0, so she just shuts.
Yeah,
Sheree
she shuts
down.
it off. Yeah,
like,
you're right.
You know, so I don't know. I'm working on it. I think I like her a lot. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. The more I think about it, like, I don't think I have a way out with this deck without setting up some kind of infinite creature that keeps coming in and out of play.
Oh, sure.
And then you just win. And I don't know how I feel about having a deck like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be okay with that if it was reasonable to set that up and consistent enough to set that up, but I have a fun play experience on the way there.
Yeah.
Rather than, all right, 15 tutors for 15 tutor and a bunch of recursion effects to make sure my death metal hits every time I play.
Sure.
And then start the loop and burn off my opponents.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I like some of the lists I've been looking at. I've really been intrigued by the people that have a lot of equipment designed for giving her death touch, so that you're really controlling the board state as you're on your way to some kind of win condition.
Yeah, I really like that.
I
so
think
if
that's
I can,
really cool.
If I can figure that out, I'll bring it to our episode for it. But in the meantime, like, yeah, I think she's cool. She's her own thing, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to some Rakdos cards.
Okay.
So I've got an enchantment for you, Andy.
What is it?
Captive Audience.
Captive Audience.
I'm sharing it because you are my captive audience.
I am, dude. You've captured me.
5, black, red. Captive Audience enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Your life total becomes 4. Discard your hand. Each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens.
So
those are bad choices.
Kyle, do you think they've got something big planned for curses in the next year?
That's a pretty bad curse.
Well, it's not a curse.
But it's a curse.
Do they have something so big planned for curses that if this thing was a curse, it would just break it open or something? Because they had curses in Amonkhet.
Yeah, why isn't an aura that you can put on a player?
I mean, I don't know why I'm complaining. Like, it's just, I guess, like, if they gain hexproof, this I don't know, curses kind of fall down to player hexproof. That's not like a really big thing.
But there's very few decks that,
I don't know. I'm just wondering why that was left out as a curse.
That's interesting.
I'm like, are they going to give us something and then everyone's going to be like, oh, this is fucking awesome for curses. Finally, we get a curse-based commander.
Sure.
But wait, captive audience isn't a curse.
It's not
but
a curse.
But it's going in anyway if it matches the color identity.
It's completely, in terms of like the feeling of being cursed, this is like the pinnacle.
Yeah, I like this card. I just
it's really cool. I'm not gonna tell you how to die.
Yeah.
But you're gonna die.
I like the look on everyone's faces. Like,
they're
what
just like,
happened?
Oh my
you
God.
Look at the Azorius guys is kind of like, I can't believe this shit anymore. And then, yeah, you see like the weird...
That goblin is like... He's
the homunculus. What's his name? Fiddleflip or whatever?
Fiddleflip.
He's sitting there on the dude's shoulder like he's got his hand over his little mouth. Yeah, like what the fuck are they looking at?
Love it, dude. Anyways, that's a really cool card. It's going to show
funny.
up in decks running the colors because it's just cool.
On for something more practical. How about Bedevil?
Bedevil.
So black, red.
It's
instant.
extremely practical.
Yeah, black, red, an instant, destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker.
So I want to. I mean, this isn't.
It's tutorable with the Sunforger.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So this isn't this isn't an unseen thing, but I want to point something out about the Rakdos Guild.
Okay.
As we're kind of just going through some of these cards.
God, the art on this card is top shelf.
A lot of the Rakdos cards have the ability to reach planeswalkers. And, you know, there's no non-bolus exemptions here.
What are you saying? That Rakdos, the showstopper, is going to be the savior of us all?
Just saying.
When this arc or the story arc comes to an end.
Just saying, Hail Satan.
Okay, Hail Satan. Yeah, good card though. Like
that is a good card.
It's
like
the Rakdos.
It's definitely
it's the Rakdos Mortify. It's the Rakdos Putrefy. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Terminate was already a good card, but this just kind of like pushes it over the top.
No, it definitely does.
Anything else?
You know, I mean, it's funny because I just brought up that point because I was noticing that on some other cards. They're not necessarily great for Commander, but I was seeing things like Fireblade Artist and others like that. They have that ability to target planeswalkers. So I don't know. I just think that like if you're playing in a group that's playing with planeswalkers, there's actually a lot of Rakdos cards that target them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that may be something that might be of interest to you depending on your play group.
Yeah. We probably should say something about their guild mechanic, right? Their guild mechanic is Spectacle.
Yeah.
So it says you make a lot of these spells, like to give an example, there's one that's called like Skewer the Critics, which is fucking funny. They should have like the professor down in that audience or somebody.
We love the professor, but
yeah, but MTG don't. It's two in a red. It just says Skewer the Critics deals 3 damage to any target, but its spectacle cost is just red. The spectacle can happen if an opponent has lost life this turn.
Yeah, so it's a lightning bolt with a hoop.
Pretty much. So I'm not really talking about this card specifically, but I'm talking about this mechanic. Like, I'm wondering if we're going to see anything here that has spectacle that... Because that's kind of the old Rakdos, actually, right? Like, his might as well just be spectacle. Like,
sure.
You can only cast it if
yeah,
somebody lost
you're
life.
exactly right.
Yeah, so it's interesting to look at these. Some of them are pretty cool. I can see them being big in other formats, but I was waiting for a big spectacle thing, like a spectacled exsanguinate type card or an spectacled something. I don't know.
Yeah, because a lot of them are kind of like mediocre, like the Rick's Muddy Reveler. That might be something if you're playing a deck that just spends out your hand really quickly. You might want to use the spectacle on that to get you a few more cards in your hand.
Yeah,
like there might be some options there, but it's a hard sell for sure.
Yeah. All right, next guild.
What is the next one?
It's the Gruul, man.
The Gruul?
I haven't had a lot of time to look at their stuff. I've noticed they're kind of making people choose. Like, this is kind of a choosy guild this time around. Like, it doesn't seem as mindless as, because their mechanic is Riot. So this creature enters the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering just like how this is going to go down, because I don't know. A lot of the time, like me, my inclination is to take the haste option, but
yeah,
it's kind of a bit of a brainier Gruul than I'm used to, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit more of a brainy Gruul, huh?
Yeah. So let's hit the legend.
Okay.
So it's Nikia of the Old Ways. So she's 3, a red and a green, legendary creature, Centaur Druid. Fuck yeah, dude, a Centaur. You can't cast.
Does it take on equine form?
She fucking does, dude. She's in equine form as we speak. Yeah. So you can't cast non-creature spells, but whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land can produce. It's a 5/5. So she's a 5/5 for 5. That says, yeah, you can't cast non-creature spells,
but you're doubling your mana production with
your land production is doubled. I admire her purity. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
like
this card has a place in Commander. As the commander is sort of, if you're that guy, cool. But it's in the colors for land matters. Like, there's a lot of land matters commanders that will have a moment in time that this is perfectly appropriate to play.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of ways to do this, because initially I thought, what's the one? Is it called Primal Surge or whatever it is, where you just dump all permanents into play? But if she's out, she won't even let you cast.
No, you can't cast them.
So you would need like the Team or Sabretooth or something to like tap all your mana, get it into your pool, jump her back to your hand, blow the spell. Like, she wants you to be pure, man.
Yeah, like what you're going to end up doing is doing, like expel creatures. Like, that's probably where you're kind of landing, or Eldrazi Titans. And
if all you've got is lands, you wake up with 10 mana the next turn.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that everybody wanted from Ramos. Yeah, be it Ramos is a little bit more tricky, and he can do it whenever, and he doesn't have this huge like reign in like her first line of text, but she'll access you a lot of mana.
Yeah, she definitely will.
Yeah, I'd say that this deck is probably going to get up against it's gonna get up against like Krufix levels of mana. You know, not in the long term, but in the short term, like the short to mid term, like you're gonna have a lot of mana.
Yeah, you will.
You've got like a Zeusas and like that dinosaur that lets you play double lands. Like if you're just dumping lands into play, like you're gonna get there.
And Mina and Den and all those things that like let's just go.
Yeah, I don't know. Cool. Do you like? I mean, what do you?
I actually do like it, and I've actually been slow brewing a Surik Lands Matter deck, and
does she go in this?
This would go in it. I would put it in.
All right, cool. Domri Raid's back.
Yeah, Domri Chaos Bringer.
Yeah, read us that one.
So 2, a red and a green. He comes in with 5 loyalty. So the up 1 loyalty ability is simply add a red or a green. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains Riot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay.
There's a down 3 ability which says look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order.
Okay.
And then the ultimate is -8. You get an emblem with at the beginning of each end step. Create a 4/4 red and green beast creature token with trample.
Okay.
The ultimate is, I think with Planeswalkers, we're usually looking at some kind of like immediate return, oftentimes.
Yeah, you're going to get it.
And yeah, you get your emblem, but like this emblem is definitely an accumulating thing that's going to snowball.
Yeah, sure.
But it, nothing that should immediately like, I mean, it should be terrifying, but it won't be like immediately. It's kind of like you've turned the clock on.
Yeah.
I like that you can do some card selection and / card draw with the middle ability with him and a little extra mana for casting a creature. Cool.
I'm actually pretty into this one.
All of the abilities are solid.
I'm actually pretty into this one because he comes in with 5 loyalty.
Yeah.
So he's
4 for 5.
Yeah, he's pretty, and that's kind of what you need in this format. Like
it's juiced.
Yeah. I'm pretty into this one. And then, yeah, he gives you mana. So really, like, he kind of replaces his initial
it
cost
becomes like a
bit.
3 in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to have 4 available, but you could have something else.
Yeah, I'm pretty into this one.
I like it too, personally. I like it too.
Yeah, any other Gruul spells that we want to talk about?
Cinder Vines.
Okay.
So if I can,
I got Cinder Lash.
Oh, Cinder Lash.
Yeah, but again, I'm on a different page than you, and it was spoiled. And it looks like in like Spanish. So it says
read it off.
So it's 1 and a green for an enchantment. It says whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, Cinder Lash deals 1 damage to that player. But there are vines in the picture.
Yeah.
So it could be either or, man. But then you can pay 1, sacrifice Cinder Lash. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Cinder Lash deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool, neat little card, actually. Pretty neat.
I'm a big fan of it just because of the whole thing in concert, right? So to me, it's one of those things. It's like, it's going to do damage. And when somebody goes to deal with it, I'm like, well, let's just get a last little bit in. Right.
Yeah. I think what I like about it is it punishes blue the way that I like blue to be punished.
Right.
That you're going to think about your life a little bit when you start chaining off spells. When
Yeah.
you're casting non-creature
Yeah.
spells. And then I guess if things get, if you have to, you can only pay 1 mana to blow up an artifact or an enchantment. Like you can just hold that 1 up. Like it's not a huge cost to do that. Like I just like how it's very low to the ground CMC. Like outside of this, like I don't know, outside of Commander, like it's pretty slow.
Oh yeah, it is.
But in our format, I think it's just right for our speeds. And it can be recurred.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing to me is,
it can be recurred. It can be brought back.
I think something like this is one of those. It's one of those cards where I would suggest to somebody, if you're questioning it, just play it and keep track of how much damage something like this does over the course of a game.
I like it. I like it. I like it how techy it is.
Yeah.
Any other cards? Any other cards?
Rhythm of the Wild.
Yeah, this card is. I don't think it's crazy. I just think it's just a power creep card, a little bit.
Well, so okay, to read it off, it's another enchantment. So 1 red-green. Creature spells you control can't be countered. So this is available in other places, like talking of Surak, you know, I mean, putting this with Nikya or Nikaya or however you say that.
Yeah.
But then having this non-token creatures you control have Riot. Having that's actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like having access to just giving everything you have haste if you need it. If you don't need it, they've got bigger bodies. I'm pretty into it.
People kind of go back and forth with haste in Commander. You know, I think there's been times where I'm like, man, I really just I don't value it right now. Right. Especially when blockers start developing.
Sure.
But then there's other cases where I'm like, I just fucking need it. I just want to jump somebody with this damage that I've got. Or I'm resolving mana dorks that would be, they're basically free to cast once you have haste. Like you can just dump them, tap them, pay them.
Like if you're playing a pingers list that's playing with these colors, dude, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty into this.
Like I would absolutely put this in that deck.
And then it blocks counters.
Yeah.
Like, there's no counters. I'm pretty into it. It's just
like it's going to be,
It's power creep Yavamaya's fires or fires
Yavamaya
or whatever. Like,
yeah.
It has like a weird way to just give them +2 if you sacrifice it, but these give you +1/+1 counters. So if you're really looking to bump your creatures or you have another way to give them haste.
Yeah.
Like a deck that this would go in might already have something like Fires of Yavamaya in it.
Sure.
So it's like
but I like when you have options.
This one adds to that.
Yeah.
So that way you can keep using the haste from the first one and just do the +1/+1 counters from this one. And then, it blocks the counter magic. Like,
yeah, Riot is actually a super cool mechanic in for exactly what you described. Like there's times when you're desperate to have haste and there's times when you don't need it.
Yeah, most of the time.
And this one
see it being that.
When this one where you're like, I can choose. That's actually pretty cool.
Okay, we got anything else over here that we're looking for?
You know, I don't think this card's going to end up anywhere that I really think I need it, but I am intrigued by it. I'm looking at it.
What is it?
It's the Ravager Worm.
What does it do?
So it's 3 red and 2 green. It has Riot, and it says when it enters the battlefield, you can choose up to 1. So Ravager Worm fights target creature you don't control or destroy target land with an activated ability that isn't a mana ability. I just kind of like the flexibility on that, but the thing is it's on a body that's very expensive.
Like it's a 4/5.
It's a 4/5 for 6 mana. You could potentially have a 5/6 if you Riot without haste, like to get the counter.
Yeah.
So in Commander, there's a lot of stuff that's usually
honestly they probably held back its body because of Riot.
That's probably true
because they like, well, we can't really have a 6/6 for 6 with haste. Like that's
yeah.
I mean? Like
no, you're probably right. You're probably right.
ETB effect.
I just think that. Yeah, like that ETB, the flexibility there of you can remove something, like remove a creature or a land.
Yeah, I'm behind you with that because like you can have it fight a 5 and survive.
Yeah.
So a 5/5, it'll just bite it down, and that's pretty much almost all commanders.
Oh yeah,
yeah, or jump somebody for 4.
Yeah,
and destroy
a land. Like the only thing that I wish about this is like if it's not in colors where you're really going to be recurring something like this
too much. Yeah,
like you could, but
cool. Moving on.
Yeah, let's get
we spent a lot of time on the earlier guilds debating.
Yeah, and then we're now just like cool,
boom. We can see the timer on this episode. Sorry, dude. These are always our longer episodes.
Yeah,
like,
they're kind of fun to explore.
But like I want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the first time you and I talk about stuff like this. Like
it's true.
We talk here and there, like in passing about stuff like this.
Yeah, but it's it's our first
spoiler season,
real conversation about the new cards.
Okay, last guild. So
Simic.
Oh my god.
So this is another one that has 2 legendary creatures. I'm gonna take the familiar character, so you can take the other one.
Dude, can I say something about the Simic? And this is just my opinion. This is an opinion within an opinion, dude. This is like opinionception. Okay,
opinionception.
Simic is like the Kanye West of guilds for me. Like,
tell.
There's a lot to fucking hate about Kanye West. Then there's a lot to fucking like about the guy.
You're like, jeez, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's Jesus. Like, there's a lot to fucking hate about him, but then there's a lot to like. Like when I see Jellyfish Hydra Beast, how can I be mad?
Oh, right.
Or
a Lizrog,
yeah,
like,
or Elf Crab Warrior. Like, how can I be mad about that? But then I see Prime Speaker Vanifar, and I get a little annoyed.
Yeah,
which is probably not the reaction people wanted from this podcast, but
so
let's just do it now.
Yeah, so Dana from EDH Recast, he was tweeting out today. He was like, he's also on Commander Central. I never know which one to associate with him
because he's bleak. He's more on my
he is.
He's a little bit bleak.
You guys should be pals for sure. Because so what he said is he was like, if I were trying to design the blandest, most boring commander possible, Prime Speaker Vanifair would be what would emerge.
Dude, he's after my own heart for sure. And that's coming from a guy who had a Yi-San deck. All right, so 2, a green and a blue for a see, dude, and then this is the Kanye West thing, dude. It's an elf ooze wizard.
Yeah.
Fuck. You can tap, sacrifice a creature, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card into the battlefield, then shuffle your library, activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Thank God they put that part in there, I guess. And then, yeah, she's a 2/4.
Yeah.
So yeah, first thought is she's birthing pod as a commander.
She is a birthing pod as a commander.
Little,
little different, but different. Essentially
little different. Like for commander, she's as good as I mean, people argue that birthing pod's better, which it is, but
sure,
still, she's always going to be an effect that you have.
Anytime you can spend Phyrexian mana, sign me up.
I don't know. Like, there's been a lot already said about this card. I like it. I'm waiting to see a build out there that doesn't just combo off and just go crazy.
Yeah,
where it's like, okay, here's my objective for the deck. Okay, my first stop is to find Intruder Alarm and just go nuts with her. Like, yeah, you have to sacrifice the creature. That's not something that you have to do with Yi-San, but Yi-San has you pay a mana cost.
Yeah.
You have to pay 3 to get through his
you can just get
ability.
The tap on tap stuff going.
So there's a lot of comparisons that can be drawn between other developed archetypes, and her birthing pod was what I think is banned in Modern, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah. Right after. Remember when I traded all of your birthing pods from you,
and then
they immediately banned it?
Yeah, I remember that. And then their cost came because we did it based on
it was based on cost.
So I don't know, like if there's a toolboxy way to play her, and then there's some other way to like get a win con going, but some other way that can't be tutored with her.
Sure.
That's a deck I'd be interested in. I'd actually be behind that because of Ooze Wizard.
Sure.
But I don't know if we're going to see that for a while.
Dude, your wizard hat's going to get so dirty with all that ooze, dude.
Yeah, and I'm coming at you about this card from a person who has played 3 different tutor commanders. It's not like I'm trying to just save you. You're going to have fun with this for maybe 4 months, depending on how often you play. But after 4 months, you just keep going to the same line of play every time. Like, why bother? Yeah, okay, she's a little bit crazier in that, like, you have to kind of work with what you have.
Sure.
So I don't know, but it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of agreeing with Dana on this. Like, it's just.
Yeah, my only notes for this one, Andy, ... Combo Town.
It's just going to be that. And yeah, we'll go over that when we hit Simic, but it's just this one doesn't have a long-term sustainability as a commander.
I mean, that's the thing with most Simic commanders, right? Like you're looking to combo. And if you're not, you're
kind of playing with your Vig's a tutor commander too.
Yeah,
so your predecessor is a tutor commander, but I don't know. I hope I'm not pissing people off who are excited about this card, because be excited. I mean, it's fucking awesome.
To each your own if you're into it.
But it's just prepare yourself for like, man, I've been playing this for a couple months and I'm already kind of bored of it. You know, so maybe you want to...
You need to get some Cialis.
Yeah, you need to get some Cialis. Don't we have another one, though? Don't they?
Yeah, so there's Zagana, the Utopian Speaker.
Okay. Did she get kind of like downgraded or something?
She's definitely downgraded.
Well, I meant like in her standing with the guild. Like,
well, I don't know what that means. Utopian Speaker? Does that mean she's like the Supreme Overlord Speaker, or?
I guess you'll find out because you're the Vorthos guy. You'll probably find out.
I don't know. So she's 2, a green and a blue, and then with Zagana, it's a 4/4 for the Merfolk Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's so peasant and pedestrian now. Merfolk Wizard. Give me something else.
Yeah, for the Simic, it is pedestrian. Where's the ooze, you know?
When are you going to combine yourself with something interesting, Zagana?
Right. When are you going to get in on that turtle, you know? Become a merfolk turtle wizard.
Or a rat.
Dude. Or, yeah, a merfolk rat wizard turtle. God.
Okay, so when Zagana, Utopian Speaker, enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with a +1/+1 counter on it, draw a card. Wow.
A singular
singular card in comparison to Prime Speaker Zagana, who was usually drawing a shit ton.
Dude, quit Utopia shaming her, man.
I know. Fuck, your Utopia sucks. Okay, so she has an activated ability with the Adapt mechanic strapped to it. So it's 4, a green and a blue, and Adapt 4. So what that means here with their guild mechanic is if this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put 4 +1/+1 counters on it.
Isn't that just monstrous?
It is.
Okay. Continue.
It is.
Continue.
Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample.
So she becomes an 8/8 trample.
Yeah, she becomes an 8/8 trample.
You light her up.
Which, how vanilla is that to get there, right?
Yeah, so
you're going to draw 1 card.
Maybe we should go back for a second on that Vannifar. What's she up to again?
Yeah, like if
what are you doing over here?
Like if you go clubbing, you and your buddy, and you see Prime Speaker, Vannifar, and Zagana, like your buddy's taking a bullet if they're going with Zagana. You know, just saying.
Yeah,
just saying.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Any other Simic cards that are of interest? Did you see the mythic, the Hydroid Crassus?
Oh, yes.
So it's X, a blue, and a green. It's Jellyfish Hydra Beast. Whenever you cast this spell, you gain X life and draw X cards rounded down each time, flying and trample. And then Hydroid Crassus enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So it's like any other Hydra. Except for it has trample. You were saying that doesn't happen a lot with Hydras, right?
Yeah, it really doesn't.
You would notice that Hydras
yeah, so a Hydra with
that.
trample and flying is actually pretty fucking cool. That side's actually awesome.
Yeah, this one's pretty good.
I'm interested to see how much it ends up in decks. I don't know.
Dude, I gotta bring up the top quote on this one. So the quote, the flavor text is, "Havoc is a small price to pay for data." And this guy named EC Major, he's like, "Is this the first time Facebook has contributed to a flavor text quote?" Like, nobody commented on that.
That's fucking hilarious.
Hang on, I'm replying right fucking now to that one, to this guy. That's good. That's good. So yeah, I think originally I was just kind of like, all right, whatever. But no, it's pretty good. It's a pretty cool spell. I like it.
Yeah,
you gain
it
life,
is.
You draw cards. It's like a... What is that called? Sphinx's Revelation?
Yeah, Sphinx's Revelation. So people are drawing comparisons.
They just stole that shit
with
right out of
Sphinx's
Azorius' bag and gave it to...
To be honest with you, Flash. Sphinx's Revelation is always on the chopping block for me. I'm always like, there's a lot of permanents in blue that allow me to have recursive.
It's just really good in other formats.
Yeah.
Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah,
this probably will be too.
Yeah. So here, let me give you a card that I think is kind of sneaky to me.
Ooh, a sneaky card? Are we sneaking?
Like it's niche, but it's
what is it?
The Terramander.
What the fuck?
So it's 1 blue for a Salamander Drake, and it's a 1/1, and it has flying, and it has Adapt 4, but its cost is 7 and a blue. But it says this ability costs 1 less to activate for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. There's part of me that's just like, there's some decks that can get enough of those cards in the graveyard that you're just paying 1 blue to get 4. I don't know. It's just kind of like,
why isn't it just like adapt 7?
Right?
Like just push it the fuck up there.
That's true.
How many hoops do you have to jump through to get a 5/5 flyer these days?
It's kind of sneaky to me, like, but obviously it's not really going to end up anywhere.
Like, doesn't Jace's whatever? Isn't there one that he just flips into a 5/5 when there's so many cards? Like,
yeah,
what is it called?
Is it Jace's erasure or whatever?
No, it's the jellyfish in the air.
Yeah, you're right. I know.
But anyway, like
about.
That is an easier hoop to get through than
you're
what this
exactly
guy
right. Then I'm going to pay the mana for it.
7 mana.
It's just interesting to me. It's kind of like sneaky. You're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. 7 of blue. But like, there's a point where you could just play blue.
What's sneaky about this? This is a stealth kill in like a Nerf gun fight.
You're right.
You know, like you showing up like, I'm gonna shoot him, dude. I'm like, oh well, don't fucking don't be too loud. And then you shoot him and it just sticks to the fuck. And everyone's wearing helmets. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right. Give me another one.
Biomancer's Familiar. I got to bring it up because I actually think this one's pretty good. It's Biomancer's Familiar is green and a blue for a creature mutant, which whatever, we'll take it. You know, activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana an ability costs to activate to less than 1. And then you can just tap it, and the next time a target creature adapts this turn, it adapts as though it had no +1/+1 counters. So it kind of double adapts, I think, is what it's looking to do. But that activation, I mean,
reducing the activation cost.
Yeah, so if you want to make the prime failure Zigana, this is obviously going to be something that's an include, right?
Sure.
Because it drops that cost and she can just go off or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think for the rest of us that aren't Simic files, it's a training grounds creature.
Exactly. It's a training grounds.
It's a training grounds creature or a Hearthstone creature. Pretty cool. I'm into that. What is it doing though? Is it like begging for ooze?
Like, I think it's like giving.
Or is it asking for more ooze portage?
Do you want to take more?
It's the Simic Oliver Twist.
Simic Oliver.
You got anything else in this thing?
It might be worth noting that there's Frilled Mystic, which is a more color-intensive Mystic Snake. Rather than having one colorless as part of its cost.
Cool, so more tools for Rune.
Yeah. I also...
More tools for Rune.
I actually kind of liked... What's it called? Growth Spiral?
What does that do? Oh, is that the one that like just lets you play a land, draw a card?
Yeah. So it's green and a blue, draw a card. You can put a land from your hand into the battlefield. It's an instant.
What's the chick from Kaladesh? The one that plays off the top of the library or whatever. She kind of like...
Oh, Rashmi? Is that what you're thinking?
That's a card for Rashmi.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In my opinion.
But the other thing to me is I'm just thinking of cards like Broken Bond. Like we talked about this in our year-end thing.
You're into those cards. You're into techie land cards.
I actually really like those because they're kind of like... it's... I mean, if you think about it, it's a ramp spell with an additional benefit attached to it. It's just nice.
Okay. Anything else from the Simic? Anything?
What did you think of the Simic Ascendancy?
I didn't... Wait, there's an Ascendancy?
There's an Ascendancy.
They get an Ascendancy? Where's the Rakdos Ascendancy?
Yeah, there's only one Ascendancy.
Huh. So green and a blue, you can pay 1 a green and a blue and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters on it, you control you can win the game with that? It's just a win?
Yeah, and if there's a guild that's suited to get you...
Oh, it has alternate art too.
20 growth counters, it's Simic that can pull this off. Like... I'm not a huge fan of the upkeep win cards.
Because Helix Pinnacle a little bit, because it doesn't have hexproof.
Yeah, you're right. Because they're so telecast and like it's just sort of saying to everybody.
So just to destroy it.
Deal with this.
Like you'd rather just keep the other. You'd rather not have that last ability, so people aren't inclined to remove it because you can get some going with this.
Right.
You know.
So. Yeah, like Simic is well suited to make this happen. Like I think you could pull off 20 counters on this Ascendancy pretty easily.
But people are going to be looking to remove it. But as you approach that moment,
which may or may not be good. Like I've used things like Test of Endurance and the Felidar Sovereign as sort of to call out people's removal so that they don't deal with other things.
Yeah, I would just kind of say this isn't a win con.
Yeah,
like, don't treat it like a win con.
Right.
We have another mana dork in the Incubation Druid.
Yeah.
It's 1 in a green. You can add 1 mana of any type to that a land that you control could produce to your mana pool. But if the Incubation Druid has a +1/+1 counter on it, you can add 3. But then it has Adapt.
Yeah, and it's kind of a Gyre Sage with a ceiling, right?
A little bit. Gets there. It potentially could get there sooner.
Yeah.
Potentially could get there sooner.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Because it's only 2 mana. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Same cost as a Gyre Sage.
And I don't know. What's the biggest Gyre Sage you've had? If you had anything?
I mean, that's the thing is it's harder to advance a Gyre Sage, but you do have a higher ceiling. But you're probably going to appreciate the Incubation Druid more often.
Okay. I think the Benthic Biomancer is going to be pretty cool too. Because whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on Benthic Biomancers, draw a card, then discard a card. Like it can be out turn.
I actually had in my notes to ask you about this one because I was like, do you care about that kind of like filtering?
I'll be honest, man. Like I'm not a big +1/+1 guy. Like I did it for a second when I had Experiment Garage.
Sure.
And and that's the other thing is a lot of these actually kind of channel back to him because he can grab these abilities.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Weirdly shut them down too. Like if he puts his +1/+1 counter on some of these cards, like then they can't
adapt.
They can't adapt. Like it's kind of a weird self-limitation.
Yeah, it is. It is an interesting thing.
But I think that a +1/+1 counter deck is gonna operate with that. Like it's card selection. You draw a card, discard a card.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's 1 mana. So even in the mid game, you're like, let me just kind of use this to dig through my deck.
Yeah.
When I'm dumping +1/+1 counters out.
That's a good point.
Okay, yeah, let's move off Simic, huh?
Yeah, let's
just move into the mono, realm of the mono.
Yeah, let's do that.
The guildless.
So here's a big one coming from white is Smothering Tithe. And dude. Its flavor is very Orzhov, but it doesn't have a guild symbol to it.
Yeah.
Smothering Tithe, so it's an enchantment for 3 and a white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2.
Okay.
If the player doesn't, you create a colorless treasure artifact creature token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color.
Oh my god, I'm hyped for this, dude.
This thing's fucking dope.
I am so hyped for this. No one's gonna pay 2. Are you gonna pay 2?
Yeah, I mean, an heuristic study is already hard for people to. Well, yeah, why would they?
Well, because it's not even a card draw. It's like, are you going to pay 2 for
they're setting themselves.
Get 1 mana?
They're behind you either way.
Dude,
they've paid 2 to prevent you to get 1, or you get 1.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to set yourselves behind all your opponents or just 1? Yeah, nobody's going to pay.
I'm way into this one, man. This is the first card for 2019 that's living up to white's getting corrected for commander.
And it's needed.
Here we go. Guardian Project in the same mana range, right? So 3 and a green. Whenever a non-creature token, whenever a non-token creature whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card.
More card draw for green.
Pretty much. It's self-limiting, I guess, in that. But it's not that barrier isn't really in our way.
Well, no, what was the creature that was at the same CMC in the last set? The beast, was it Beast Whisperer or something? I forget.
I'm way into this one too. I think this is another one of those things. It's like we just keep getting these effects for green.
Yeah, and it's nice. I mean, like you can find card draw in green, but like this kind of stuff makes it more steady to stabilize the card draw in your green deck.
Yeah. And can be abused.
Yes.
Any other enchantments? There's some
a lot of enchantments. Font of Agonies is one you and I were talking about.
See, I was into this.
So it's 1 black for an enchantment. So whenever you pay life, put that many blood counters on Font of Agonies. So think Necropotence, Greed, Erebos, Hatred, all kinds of things.
Yeah, man, this thing's cool. Even Shocklands.
Oh yeah, Shocklands.
Because a Shockland will set this up because it says pay 2 or it comes in tap.
Yeah, you're right. And then so you can get the counters on this black decks are going to give you the ability to make this happen. Like anything playing black, it's obviously black. It's
Dude,
the right typing.
This is,
and then it has the activated ability of pay 1 in a black, remove 4 blood counters from Font of Agony's destroy target creature. It's so we talk about this a lot on the podcast. Whenever you have something that allows you a permanent that allows you to do something like creature removal multiple times as opposed to a single instant or sorcery, it's valuable, and this is something that fits right in.
Super low CMC activate, super low CMC to get it into play.
It's
Verity Circle. See this one?
Which one's that one?
So it's 2 and a blue. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card.
That's crazy. So all the activated abilities and things like that. Like Vanifar, keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
Keep drawing those.
You're going to be tutoring, but
and you can pay 4 and a blue to tap target creature without flying. So I am way into this card, actually.
You replace your command awakening.
Depending, like, think about what kind of opponents you've got. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if your play group is into that kind of stuff.
Well, mana dorks, like all that stuff going on. Like, it's just like if they ain't attacking and tapping it for anything else, then Grenzo. Does Grenzo tap? No, Grenzo doesn't tap. Fuck, yeah, never mind. He would not be good if he tapped.
Yeah, he wouldn't be good if he tapped, because only getting that once to gamble. You gotta tap to gamble, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how I misremembered that shit.
That's funny.
Mirror March, did you see this one too?
Oh yeah, the red one.
Yeah, read it.
Okay, so 5 and a red. Whenever a non-token creature enters a battlefield under your control, flip a coin until you lose a flip. For each flip you won, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. The possibilities are very interesting to me with this. Like, Krankos, maybe? Like,
well, it's non-token.
Oh, no, but I mean, like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. But I'm just thinking like chaining token or chaining Krankos into tapping, but
he's legendary.
He's legendary.
I think more like along the lines of like Riku. I think this kind of would set up Riku pretty well. I don't know, the CMC is pretty high. Like Riku's already a pretty mana intense play. I don't know. I'm having trouble with this one too, because they put it at a pretty high mana requirement.
CMC,
you know, it feels kind of like the Sunbird's Invocation, but you're not. I don't know why.
But it's more stable than that.
True. I've had Sunbird's Invocation. Am I saying that right? Sunbird's Invocation.
Yeah.
Is that the name? I've had that whiff plenty of times. Yeah. This could whiff too, though, because of the coin flip.
Sure.
You know, no one, everyone's luck. It probably will. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about this one that just like, it's got me.
It's a fun chaos flavor
thinking
type thing,
a little
right?
bit. Yeah,
but it's not like actual chaos where people aren't in control of things.
But then the obvious, like Okun and whatever his name is, Zindersplit. They're looking for coin stuff, and you already got stuff that.
Isn't it interesting? They keep feeding that with this and Rakdos. Like, the Rakdos doesn't fit with them though. Huh?
And I don't know how I feel about that. Like coin flip cards have always, not always, but they kind of annoy me because I have to bring another peripheral into play. So what we usually do is just do odd or even and roll a
yeah.
But is that the same odds? Like,
yeah. Well, the
on paper it is, but
yeah, but with a spin down, they're not randomized, right? Like, so I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. I one more comment on that. I always feel like coin flipping is like an unset type thing.
A little bit. It has a little bit of that tinge of unsetness, doesn't it? Do you think the Wilderness Reclamation is a good card?
Which color is that one in?
So it's 3 and a green. It says at the beginning of your end step, untap all lands you control.
Yeah, so it's just your end step.
Yeah.
I
don't know about this one.
I don't know either. The place
Thrasios, I can see this.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like you sink your turn, right? Or do whatever you're going to do during your turn, and then mana sink on your way back to your turn.
But here's the thing: is what it does is, I think it is good because it allows you to just play out your turn, and then you still can have we're always we talk about trying to play at instant speed as much as possible. Well, part of what happens with that invariably is that you don't advance your game as quickly as you could. Something like this lets you do that.
Yeah. So is it good or is it not? Like, is it going to be one of those cards that's like...
It's going to allow you to advance your game faster.
Depending on the deck. If you
don't need to play at instant speed, then it's fucking useless.
Or have a viable mana sink, I guess.
Yeah. Like if you don't have those in your deck.
Look, I'm just going to say it's a good card.
It is.
Because Videlcan Orrery is so proliferate for some reason. Like
sure.
Those two, just if that's like the lowest baseline for this card is, do you have Videlcan Orrery in your deck? Well then fuck. And you're green, why not just drop it?
Yeah, just put this in there.
But I guess where I'm going with this, why I'm asking, is that I feel like this has the danger of being overplayed.
Oh yeah,
like put into decks where it's like it never
yeah.
Really
there's a lot of places that it doesn't belong.
Yeah,
but I think so. So let me give an example where I would be thinking of this. I played my Sachi deck last weekend.
Okay,
and I had myself in a position where I could create a shit ton of mana. And I had a lot of lands in addition to all my shamans producing mana.
Okay.
But I didn't have a sink and I didn't have anything to play at instant speed. And so I had some things in my hand to untap my lands. I never played them in that game. Like there just wasn't a good time for that to happen. And so, yeah, to your point, there are decks, there are instances where something like this doesn't fucking matter. And it's eating up a card slot. But if you have mana sinks or you're playing at instant speed as much as you can, it's good.
Okay.
I like it.
I think we could probably just skip over artifacts.
Yeah, I mean,
completely, man. The lockets are back. They reprinted Scrabbling Claws. Like, the spoiler isn't completely done. I guess we should say that. Like, we're
here recording on Wednesday. We're trying to do this short end
so we can have it out by Friday.
On Friday.
I guess there's a few. The Tome of the Guild Pact is not any good.
No,
it's just not.
Yeah.
The only place I can see it being good is in Ramos Charms deck, maybe. And I don't even want to say good. I mean functional.
Yeah.
In that.
What's funny is I thought of CCO and their like Tomes deck. I know they have
a tome deck.
I think so, and so that would probably. There you go, guys.
The Commander Cookout. Yeah. They had a tome deck that was just about tomes.
Yeah, it was just like every tome they could get their hands on.
God, I love those guys, man. They're
so this here's a creature that I found kind of interesting.
Okay.
The Mesmerizing Benthid.
Oh.
So it's 3 and 2 blue. So whenever Mesmerizing Benthid enters the battlefield, create 2/0/2 blue illusion creature tokens. With whenever this creature blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step.
Huh.
And Mesmerizing Benthid has hexproof as long as you control an illusion. I think there's a variety of places you could put this. This could be like a Rune, Brago, the original Marquesa.
Yeah, it's very defensive.
Would all be kind of interesting places to put a card like this.
Huh. With Angel of Grace. So it's a 3 of white and a white. It's got flash, but it says
it has to have flash.
Yeah, so it says when Angel of Grace enters the battlefield until the end of turn, damage that would reduce your life to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. And then, but it's got kind of like this afterthought clause that you can exile it from your graveyard and your life total just gets set back to 10.
There's Angel's Grace for 1 mana.
Angel of Angel's Grace.
Yeah, there's Angel's Grace, though. That's an instant that does that whole middle part.
Yeah, I know. It's got split second on it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just making a joke about the name, my dude.
Yeah.
Angel of Angel's Grace.
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't know. I guess I just have like pay life on my mind.
Yeah.
Because of that font. I don't know. I've been thinking about the
I guess you're right.
stuff that we've dabbled with.
I would probably put it in that suicide deck. It's just so much more mana. Like if you're looking for something like that, because that activated,
it's already got to be dead.
Yeah, because that activated ability,
it's already got to be in your graveyard.
Fuck.
The art's pretty compelling, though.
The art's really cool.
Are there any other creatures, since we're on the creature market?
Oh man, I'm not that organized. The Immolation Shaman.
So
I think is something
there's kind of. Let me just hit us with the green one. There's kind of like a budget diet. And diet and caffeine free Crater Hoof Behemoth. So it's
you're right.
It's the End Rays Forerunners. I don't know why they're giving boars these effects, because the last one that was comparative to that was the Decimator of Provinces. Remember that?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was like a Koto from Princess Mononoke. So yeah, it's 5 green.
That's right. It looked exactly like that, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like a Koto. Creature boar, vigilance, trample, and haste. When the end raise forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. It's a 7/7. So it doesn't give it to itself. It doesn't become, a 9/9.
Yeah, but if you're playing budget, which is very much so in vogue right now, that's your alternative.
A good alternative. No, not a good alternative. An alternative.
Yeah. I actually did have this on my list in terms of other creatures, was the Immolation Shaman. I was curious your thoughts on this. So 1 in a red, whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land that isn't a mana ability, Immolation Shaman deals 1 damage to that player. It also has an activated. You can pay 3 and 2
So
red.
isn't there a creature that does this already?
There probably is.
Isn't it like I want to say it's not Ash Zealot, but there is somebody that does that.
Yeah. Now that you're mentioning it, it is a Zealot. I think was in its.
Yeah, I don't know why that sounds so familiar. That ability. Oh, it's a Harsh Mentor. Yeah, it was from Amonkhet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it isn't a mana ability, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. So it's a 2/2.
Oh, so the Harsh Mentor does more.
Yeah,
does double. That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting because I was looking at that and I was just thinking, I'm like, does this, is that going to be like enough to do it? This one's a 1/3.
Yeah, so it's a little tougher.
And it has that activated ability where it gets +3/+3 and gains menace until end of turn. Probably don't need to attack with this, but
a draft card activated because it's 5 mana to get that going. Yeah, I mean it's not impressive. I guess
now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I haven't really put the Harsh. I know I've considered the Harsh Mentor in some pressure decks.
One card that comes pretty close, man. I was thinking about it, like when I first saw it, I was like, this is fucking awesome. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, maybe it's not so great. So it's called the Pestilent Spirit. It's 2 and a black. It's menace and death touch. So if you've got death touch tribal, cool. I don't know where this last part will come in. It says instant and sorcery spells you control have death touch. So meaning that any amount of damage they deal to a creature is enough to destroy it. It's a 3/2.
It'd have to be a very Rakdos type thing, right?
So
where you're doing red damage.
Exactly. So the problem with this is that it's going to be in your other 99.
Yeah.
And that's the only place it can be. And the only time it's ever going to be useful is in conjunction with other red cards and some black. I think there's a few.
Yeah, so you could do like Pestilence's damage, right?
Well, it's instant or sorcery.
Oh, it's instant sorcery. Yeah, you're right.
But really, it's the red cards. Like I think the lowest to the so you want to do small amounts of damage where he could survive.
Yeah.
Or damage it's asymmetric. So like Mizzium Mortars.
Oh yeah.
Or Electrickery. Like Electrickery would just
actually.
It's a 2 mana.
It kills everybody's board that isn't
for stuff that ain't indestructible.
Yeah.
But if someday they make basically a Rakdos version of this, that it has so I'm kind of envisioning like Fire Song and Sunspeaker. Something
I actually thought of that when I saw that
spells
card
have
where
death touch and black spells do something else. Like I don't know, like something like that.
Yeah.
If that day ever comes, maybe this will be in there for sure because it could be redundant to that.
I was actually really drawn to that one too. I was like,
what would be nuts is if they did a Mardu spell slinger that was like, okay, that way you could get like the Sunfire Grandmaster and the Fire Song and Sun Speaker in there.
Yeah,
and
Simon and Garfunkel, dude.
Simon and Garfunkel, yeah, like you could just get them all going. But I don't know. At first I was like, man, this card's cool because I'm all about that.
I thought of Fire Song and Sun Speaker too when I saw this card. I was like, it has that feel to it, which probably means it's not good enough in the context that it's going to be in. Interesting card.
Got another creature for me?
I actually don't. I don't think I do.
Really? You see the Gutter Bones?
Oh,
so it's black for.
Dude, no.
You don't think this one? It's black creature skeletal warrior. Gutterbones enters the battlefield tapped. You can pay 1 and a black and return Gutterbones from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only during your turn and only if an opponent loses life this turn.
That's so many hoops to make something like that work, right?
So yeah, I would agree, but there is a very powerful warrior commander that would definitely want this in her deck. Because it's a skeletal warrior.
Yeah.
Like, it's already out. It's already, that's the thing is it's a turn 1. By the time Najila hits the field, she can just keep using this guy.
I hadn't thought about Najila because I tried to.
Well, yeah, she already likes Blood-Soaked Champion, and that's kind of who this guy reminds me of a little bit, you know? Yeah.
That's a good point. It's a really good point.
But yeah, I get where you're going.
Because I was like, it's too, because I'm thinking like if you're trying to think of those creatures.
And Judith. Because they can lose life, like
yeah, you're right.
There's the loop that might be needed for Judith. Might need him.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Judith might need him. I don't know, man. Do you see anything else that we missed in the creature department? There was one they spoiled today. That's the lumbering battlement. I don't know if there's a way to combo with this thing.
So that one actually is intriguing.
It kind of wigs me out.
It is intriguing. So 5 and a white for a 4/5 beast that has vigilance.
4 and a white, isn't it?
Did I say 5? I meant 4. 4 and a white. So when Lumbering Battlement enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield.
Okay.
Lumbering Battlement gets +2/+2 for each card exiled with it. If you're running really low to the ground, I guess this could make it for a really big creature.
I just see some sequences with this. I don't. Because as soon as if it gets flickered, they all come back, and they're like, if they're all ETB'd, or if you've got some kind of ETB thing going on.
That's a good point.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's a really good point.
So he's kind of like the.
So it puts everything into like this protective
space. He's the detention guy I was talking about.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I know, I guess I keep going back to that discussion that you had with the whole like Genesis wave, where you set up that really weird combo where you needed 2 things that could exile each other, and there were creatures, and there was opalescence. There was a lot of weird cards in that orgy, right?
Yeah, the Parallax wave.
For some reason, what did I call it?
You said Genesis wave.
Parallax wave. Like, I don't know. This is kind of making me think about
that. No, that would definitely be interesting to do with that.
Yeah. There's probably more creatures that we could look at, but maybe we should just kind of move on to some other tidy up cards and close this bad boy out.
Yeah, probably.
Earlier, I was talking about an instant that I thought was pretty fucking dope. It's an Izzet card.
Oh, this is actually really fucking dope.
It's kind of like out of place. Like, I don't know if this is like
but it's clear that it's Izzet. Like, there's no other thing that this could be possibly.
I'm into this one. So it's called Electro Dominance. It's X red. It says instant. Electro Dominance deals X damage to any target, and you may cast a card with converted mana cost of X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Like, this is sick.
It's way cool.
This, I don't know, because
you get to cast an X spell and then cast something else for free. Right?
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Yeah, I like it. You burn something off, you cast something else. You burn something. I don't know. I'm thinking about this like for
it's going on Will and Row and Kenrith, dude.
It really?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I could twin that thing?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Ew. How did you Izzet so good all of a sudden, motherfucker? Okay. Anything else in the instant department? There was a lot of split cards, but I don't know if there's anything else going on.
It's kind of funny. I was all like very, very like concerted. It's like, we got to look at all the split cards, and then we stopped looking at them.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you and I have like a problem with these reviews. Like, we like kind of overdo it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the focus needs to be on the legendary creatures, and the other cards are kind of like, what's here?
Okay, for sorceries, like let's just pop these off really quick. There's Awaken the Erstwhile. It's 3 a black and a black. Each player discards all the cards in his or her hand, then creates that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Rapid fire, dude. Damia, it'll work for Damia because you'll reload anyway.
Yes.
Rapid fire, Nath's good about that because you would get way more elves,
ton of elves out
and
of it.
The zombies. Who else? Maybe Tassiger, because if you plan around just losing your hand with a deck or wheeling effects anyway, so like Yidris or whatever.
Yeah.
this is always going to be better for you. Maybe not so much Yidris because now they have a bunch of annoying blockers potentially, but I don't know. Right? Would you agree?
that one was, yeah, exactly. I think there's very niche spaces. Let me ask you about mass manipulation.
No.
Yeah, it's too expensive, right?
Yeah, it's the double X.
Way too much mana. And it's 4 blue already.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like
so
the barrier to get this thing to start paying you back is way high.
I would say like the baseline enchantment cost is 5.
It's not an expensive card. Blatant Thievery is not an expensive card. Like if you're looking for an expropriate that's not $30 and this is your initial thought, just do Blatant Thievery.
It's just too expensive, mana wise.
I think that's it for sorceries, right?
All right.
Yeah, I don't really see anything here in the sorcery department that's too crazy. Again, it's not completely spoiled. It's Wednesday. This thing's probably supposed to finish
a couple
up,
days, but
what, Friday? We're at 152 out of 259, so there's a bunch.
Yeah,
but they just like kind of dump commons.
Yeah, it's usually commons and uncommons dumping out.
Is it free? Is it out? Is it done spoiled on Friday?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, whatever. We're going to be talking about these guilds for the next 5 episodes, probably, right?
Oh, yeah.
If there's anything that comes out.
Yeah, so just as a reminder, like we've done this. So last year we did monocolor decks where we kind of dove into the identity of the monocolors, and you and I both built different decks to kind of try and explore it. We did that with
didn't we miss a legend? Isn't there like a mono black legend that they spoiled like
yeah, you're right,
weeks
actually.
ago?
There's a vampire mono black. That's fucking funny.
I forgot that they had spoiled like some random legend.
It doesn't fit into the cycle of things, right?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with
So it's actually called the Haunt of Hightower.
Okay.
So it's 4 and 2 black. It's flying lifelink for a vampire. It's a 3/3. Whenever the Haunt of Hightower attacks, defending player discards a card. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on the Haunt of Hightower. Yeah, so it kind of has like a little bit of a Voltron-y, like,
but he's soft,
pitching
like
the card advantage type thing.
Yahenni will be safer if you're looking to get that, like, a board wipe makes him big, or he'll die with it, but Yahenni will survive.
Exactly.
So
it is soft. I do think it has its place if you have a discard package going on in your.
Does he trigger from mill?
Yeah. So whenever a card is put into opponent's graveyard from anywhere, so mill decks for sure,
and instant sorceries.
Yeah.
So he has he jumps pretty.
Yeah, he'll jump
quickly. Okay.
Yeah, it has a place, and because it's lifelink, even if you get one hit while it's big, like, that could pitch your life total in a direction that
makes something to think about.
Makes you difficult. So put it in decks. I don't think it's a commander like worthy of helming a deck, but there's always going to be that person.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Yeah, man. These are long.
I mean, we plan on set reviews being about 2 hours. So
yeah, they're kind of like double sods.
They really are.
Yeah. Hopefully we stayed engaging for that long. Like I was starting to like muddle cards together there. And I was, plus I'm having to look through my little pop shield screen.
Yeah, you're like,
and I'm like, I had to like close one eye to like focus on one card because it was hard to read. I want to make sure I'm close to the mic and I'm not like getting really quiet, because I'm looking over.
Like I gotta lean around and read. Fucking in the way.
Yeah. All right, man. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna hit.
So we did the guild. We started our cycle of doing guild identities with the guilds of Ravnica this last set, and we'll do that with the 5 guilds that are coming out with Ravnica Allegiance.
Yeah, we usually do 2 decks an episode.
Yeah, we'll explore the identity of the color combination, and do something with commanders from the color typing.
Overall, how do you feel about this one?
So this to me is sort of what I would consider sort of baseline for what commander players should expect from a standard release set, where there's quite a few things in there that are of interest to us, that are functional to us in the format in terms of commanders, but not everything is viable.
Sure.
As a commander or so I'm pleased with it. I think we got some things in each of the guilds that are usable, which I think is the biggest deal to me.
Yeah, I don't think any guilds whiffed.
Yeah, none of the guilds whiffed. Like Boros in the previous one
whiffed.
And so that's a huge win for Ravnica Allegiance. Like, neither you or I are particularly interested in Lavinia, but it's a buildable commander. You can definitely do that.
Sure.
Like Simic got a good commander. Rakdos got a good commander.
The Gruul one is
Gruul. It's niche, but you can.
I admire her purity.
You can do it. Like it's all there. Like so I think that's a big win.
Yeah, that's good of you to say. I didn't really thought about that. I was like, as you were saying, I'm like, yeah, they didn't really have like any, like whole guild that was out.
Yeah, it sucks as a commander player when you're looking forward to something that is going to have specific color identities.
Yeah.
And you don't get a commander out of it.
Yeah.
It really sucks. Like Boros fucking got screwed in the last set. And that's a bummer,
Overall, I'm really happy with this one. A lot of pretty much for the 99 cards, I think is what I'm happy the most for.
Yeah.
Tace is bonkers.
Yeah.
Like some of these other like Vanifar's bonkers, but I'm really happy about some of these like other 99 cards that we're getting from this one.
For sure.
And yeah, like I don't know, man. I don't think I've ever been. It's been a while since I've really wondered what the next block's gonna, or not block, but next set is gonna do.
Yeah.
Because I heard somewhere that they were saying we think Commander players are going to like the third one. We don't even know the name. We just know it's Nikki B
still code
again.
Named right now.
What's gonna happen? Are they gonna fuse the guilds? Like, is there gonna be like a Samizit guild? Is there gonna be a Gorzov guild? Like, what are they going to do?
It'll be interesting to see because Morrow talked about when we were in the last trip to Ravnica that Dragon's Maze really fell flat and like in terms of design, because usually them as designers, when they're doing something like that, they've exhausted everything in the first two sets. And so it gets really thin in terms of the pickings to put in it. And then also just like, it's a really cramped design space when you're trying to cram all the guilds in it.
Right, but with the story going the direction it's going, like they could just turn it. Like it could be its
it'll be
own...
interesting if they do some kind of like 3-color type thing. Or
I'm just hoping
happens.
It's Dominaria levels of legendaries. Like that's just from a commander player's standpoint.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of personalities on this plane, right? Like there's a lot of, you see quotes all the time. Like this guy called Fury he's just some dude who's in the Rakdos. He's like some ringleader. Like he's always got these really fucking dark ass quotes on different cards. Or like, who's this guy? Like who's that? There's just so many. Plus ones that have disappeared, ones that you expect to show up. Like
and clearly some showing up from other planes.
And they've done 4-color before with the Nephilim. The original Nephilim were from the first run.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was like, I was laying in bed. It was keeping me up at night. I was like, I wonder if they'll be good enough to give us partners again. Like, I just want that to happen. But I was thinking like, okay, let me be judicious, right? They're not gonna be like the polyamorous ones that we liked from the first run. But what would be cool is if they were just specific to this block. So that partners really with cool. Another guild person. So you could have like a person from Gruul who they can partner with a person from Orzhov.
Sure.
So you're just going nuts.
That would be really cool.
So you can either have 3-color partner pairs, 4-color partner pairs, and like obviously their abilities need to be dialed back, just kind of like the original. Yeah, so they only can pool within their own 10.
Sure.
That would be pretty dope.
That would be way
That'd
cool.
be a way to get us into give us a 4-color option without having to make it mechanically evident in their game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like they don't have to print 4-colored cards.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of implied it, with the partnering.
That would be
like
interesting.
Guild partners with this guild, or as long as I don't have to do it with this one, only partners with this guy. Like the battle bond versions, the monogamous partners. I want them like quasi.
I want
somewhat polyamorous.
Anytime anybody like.
I mean, ideally, if I could partner with the OGs, that would be sick. But I don't know. I guess I'm kind of.
Anytime anybody's floating partners, I'm interested.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely like, you've got my attention. What is your idea? Whew. Boy, howdy. These review episodes go over long, don't they? But we appreciate you sticking through to the end. So yeah, we did have to get this thing recorded before the end of the spoiler, so if anything else drops, we'll plan to work it into our content moving forward. So what do you think is going to happen next with Ravnica in terms of design and, of course, story? Just don't kill my dragon wizards. For the love of God, just don't do it. The music from this episode is by the extremely talented Dan Terminus. The intro song was Death by Distortion, and the outro song, wait for it, it's called Pegasus Pro Ultra Fusion. That has got to be the most Dragon Ball Z name I've ever heard. You really gotta hear the rest of his music to seek him out and indulge yourself with his sonic majesty. Well, thanks again for listening. It really means the world to Kyle and I. Take care, and we will see you again.